Wonderful Monday to you all. It is November 4th, 2024. I am Frederick Wardrick, known to the general population as an educator, Mr. W. That was my name. I was a full-time teacher for half of my years serving in the school system. I began September 2009 just as a day-to-day substitute teacher, all while seeking my bachelor's degree. Of course, I started at Shaw University, so big out to Shaw University, but I graduated with a degree in English from Old Dominion University, December 2012. My life as a substitute teacher began in 2009. I was a day-to-day sub. I degreed from ODU in 2012. And then I began to take on long-term subbing assignments, which included getting keys to a door, a laptop, and I was the type of substitute teacher that I not only delivered lesson plans, but I created them, I taught, I communicated with parents, I built a system with the children, with the students, the young scholars that not only started and began in high school, but I have adults who were once my students who still refer to me as Mr. W. I'm only about 4 or 5 years older than most of them, those who were a part of my earlier classes. But I began my full-time teaching career 2015, 2016, with a 2-year separation when I taught in the youth program, a class that was called Too Good for Drugs, that was financed and still financed through Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth. So that lets you know I'm a teacher, I was an educator. I was a public school educator, and I was a public school teacher in the state of Virginia from 2015 through 16, and then again 2019 through spring 2024. Today, if you're watching this first episode, then this is what I'm going to title it: The Chronicles of My Life as a Teacher. And in these episodes, this is episode 1, I'm going to try to post as often as possible. You may get one every day, you might get one once a week. But what I want, my intent is to tell you all, communicate to you all the things that don't get out to the masses from the inside of the school system. You have educators who are afraid to speak up because of possible job loss. You have people who bury and hide things that actually go on and try to blame the parents and blame the students instead of taking accountability themselves. You have undermanaged schools, undermanaged districts. And when you just can't seem to figure out what's the disconnect between home, the child, the teacher, administration, the school system itself, you never get concrete answers. That's due to a lot of politics. It's due to a lot of people just not being honest. It's due to a lot of people who want solution but are not willing to change and make the necessary changes that take place. I just wrote down a few things. I'm gonna keep this video short that has occurred in my life, and these are going to be some of the examples that you will hear of that I've experienced in life. I remember one year I was teaching in a district. I'm not going to name the district nor the teacher, but there was a certain test that I hadn't finished proctoring in or giving to my group of students. Then I maybe had between 60 and 100 students. And the lead teacher on that team said to me, well, when I don't get tests done in time, I just give them the grades that I thought they would get. Now, this was my lead teacher. You don't believe that cheating goes on in the school system, especially by the educators who are supposed to be the trusted professionals? It does. I've seen it happen with my own eyes. Oh, well, I didn't even have this one on the paper. This next one, I recall proctoring a test in one child's Chromebook. This was a few years back, was disabled. It wasn't working. We were searching around, we were emailing around, making phone calls around to try to get him a Chromebook so he can start his quarterly test. And I'm watching his name on the screen and the progress on his screen go from blank squares, no colors, to green squares, to the colors being covered in green, which means the child, green or red, which means the child either got the question right or got the question wrong. We know green is associated with go, good. We know red is associated with wrong and correct. Do it again. And I recall seeing this child's test have progress when he was sitting right beside me, maybe 5 feet to my left. My desk was facing like I'm facing you all. And his test being submitted. When I and my co-teacher was in the classroom together, majority of the class was still testing, and his test is making progress when he's sitting right next to me. But these type of things go on in the school system. Here's another thing that occurred in the life of the Chronicles of my teaching career. We don't need all of their work. We don't read all of their work. We just look for certain things. This is how, now I came up in English, but just last year, a leader came to me and said, hey, it's even in the state. The state had given us a way of assessing students' essays. So students can write a 3 to 5 paragraph essay. The state looks for 3 paragraphs, and they look for certain things. They look for introduction. They look for a hook, a bridge, a thesis statement. Then they look for certain things in the body paragraph. And you are expected to grade, let's say, 60 papers, but you don't read everything the students write. You just check for certain things, certain mechanics, certain punctuation, certain spelling, certain phrasing, and that's it. So your child is doing all this extracurricular writing, and it's not being read upon. It's not being carefully examined. It's not being looked at in a way where somebody can give feedback based upon what they wrote. But the